Hey friends, Ash here with Gents. Today I want to take a look at the most popular releases from 2019 and the most popular releases so far from 2020, pit them up against each other and see which ones are best. Once again, I'm going to be using Fragrantica.com for this, mainly because they have a feature where you can sort by year, so I can just sort, all releases from 2019 or all releases from 2020. And it will put the most popular fragrances up there right at the top of the search results. Now, of course, this is, again, based off of what Fragrantica has as most popular, so it's not necessarily the best-selling fragrances. It's just these are the fragrances that, according to Fragrantica, are most popular. So, essentially, these are the ones that have the most votes, the most reviews, the ones that are talked about the most. Still, though, it does give you a pretty good look into what the most popular releases of a particular year are or were. So that's why I'm using it. Now, these are going to be masculine fragrances, so not feminine, not unisex. These are ones that are fragrances specifically released for men. I may do a unisex one here in the near future, but for now, just masculine fragrances. And we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 from 2019 and pitting that against the top 5 from 2020 so far, and we're going to pick which ones are best from each. So we're going to go number 5 from 2019 against number 5 from 2020 and so on. So let's jump into this. All right, we're going to start off with the number 5 most popular fragrance from 2019 against the number 5 most popular fragrance from 2020 so far. And again, this is based off of Fragrantica. It could change in the future. As of this video, this is what's number 5. Okay, so for 2019, it is Dior Sauvage Parfum, and that's going up against 2020's Pacha de Cartier Parfum, of course, from Cartier. A little bit surprising to see the Pacha de Cartier that high up, but it's a good fragrance, so I'm not going to argue with it. The Sauvage, of course, is the newest flanker in the Dior Sauvage line. So you have the Eau de Toilette, the Eau de Parfum, and now the Parfum. And the Parfum does retain the bergamot from the original Eau de Toilette, though now it has frankincense worked in decently prominently in the fragrance. It's also got sandalwood and tonka in there. Essentially, Dior Sauvage Parfum is taking that Sauvage DNA and trying to make it a little bit more mature, a little bit better for formal situations, and a little bit more refined. Doesn't have that big punch of metallic ambroxan. As I said, this one works in a little bit of frankincense instead. Pacha de Cartier Parfum has balsam fir, it has resins, it's got booze, which is always nice to see, of course, and sandalwood. I've done a first impression on Pacha de Cartier Parfum, but I haven't reviewed it yet. I will do that in the future. Really nice, cool weather fragrance. It does have a little bit of that throwback Pacha de Cartier vibe, a little bit of that barbershop sort of quality to it, but again, it's got much more focus on sandalwood and a bit of a boozy note as well. Okay, between these two fragrances, Dior Sauvage Parfum and Pacha de Cartier Parfum, which do I think is better? For me, it's going to be the Pacha de Cartier Parfum from Cartier. I feel like it's just a better fragrance overall. Dior Sauvage Parfum, while I don't hate it, I don't really love it either. So for me, that's 1 mark for 2020. And before we go any further, I should say I am very familiar with every fragrance on this list. I own each and every one of them. And the whole reason I thought about doing this video to begin with is because I was thinking the other day, man, 2020 has been terrible for fragrance releases. And then I was wondering, maybe it's actually not any worse than 2019 was. Maybe I'm viewing 2019 with rose-tinted glasses, and it actually wasn't any better than 2020 so far. So that's why I did the video. Okay, next up, number 4 positions, 2019. It's going to be Stronger With You Intensely from Emporio Armani. For 2020, L'Homme Ideal Extreme by Guerlain. And both of these fragrances actually are going to be used in a lot of the same situations. Fall, wintertime, they both have a sweet vibe to them. So they're not really worlds apart as far as the type of scent they are. Stronger With You Intensely has toffee, not coffee, toffee. So a nice sweet note along with vanilla, cinnamon, and tonka in there. And then L'Homme Ideal Extreme has leather, has tobacco, it has plum, and of course, almond, like all fragrances in the line. Stronger With You Intensely follows along from the first one, Stronger With You. It is a sweet fragrance. It's a bit of a gourmand. Of course, when you have toffee and vanilla and tonka and all this stuff in there, cinnamon, not really a big surprise that it would be that type of scent. So again, more of a cool weather fragrance and a sweet one. L'Homme Ideal Extreme also has a bit of sweetness, but not as much. Stronger With You intensely, it's not as heavy-handed. The plum in there, maybe I would like to be a little bit more accentuated, but overall the fragrance is really, really, really good. I like the almond, the leather in there, very nice as well. You pick that up a little bit more in the opening than you do the dry down, and then tobacco as the fragrance does dry. So between these two, L'Homme Ideal Extreme and Stronger With You intensely, for me, the Guerlain. Yeah, and it's really not a hard choice for me. It was very easy. This is the first one out of the 5 that I decided. As soon as I put these two next to each other, I was like, oh, the Guerlain wins. It smells of higher quality, it's more versatile, it's not quite as heavy-handed with its use of sweetness, and just overall a better scent. That being said, Stronger With You intensely, I don't dislike. I like that one a good amount. I like it more than the original Stronger With You. I would probably take Stronger With You Freeze over Stronger With You intensely, but still a good scent. So that means 2-0 for 2020 so far. We come to number 3, and it's gonna give us from 2019, Toy Boy from Moschino, and in 2020, Acqua di Gio Profondo by Giorgio Armani. This one's a lot closer. So, Toy Boy, it's gonna have magnolia, it has pear, it has rose, it's got pink pepper. It is a floral fragrance with pops of sweetness and bits of spice, but mainly florals for me. And even though it's marketed for men, it's more a unisex scent than it is a real masculine scent in the more traditional sense. And then Acqua di Gio Profondo has mandarin orange, it's got cypress, magnolia, sea notes, mineral notes, aquazone as one of the notes. It kind of takes Acqua di Gio and modernizes it once again. This one is gonna be more for spring, summertime, whereas Profumo was more fall and winter, but the idea is the same, taking Acqua di Gio and making it more wearable in today's day and age, because the original Acqua di Gio does maybe smell a little bit dated because of how many people have worn it over the years. All this said, it does have the Acqua di Gio DNA right up in the front. The cypress and the rosemary give it a little bit of a green tinge, and then you have mineral notes in there as well, kind of shoring the fragrance up. Now, both of these I really like. Acqua di Gio Profondo is a really nice flanker. I like it much more than Absolute, much more than Absolute Instinct. I think this one is more in line with what I would want from an Acqua di Gio flanker. That being said, it is a flanker, and Toy Boy is something completely unique. It's doing its own thing. And the quality on Toy Boy, very high as well. I think for the majority of people that Acqua di Gio Profondo is gonna be more wearable. More people are gonna like that fragrance. They're gonna wear it more often. It's gonna have more versatility, a higher complement factor overall, things of that nature. But for me personally, I think Toy Boy is a better release. It's more interesting, and as I said, it smells of really high quality for a fragrance from Moschino, which I didn't really expect. So even though Acqua di Gio Profondo is a great release, a great flanker in the Acqua di Gio line, and much better than some of the flankers we have been seeing in that line, Toy Boy gets the nod for me here. So 1 point 2019, 2 points 2020. Now this next one was not as close. For 2019, Code Absolute from Giorgio Armani. And for 2020, Dior Homme 2020. So Code Absolute has tonka, vanilla, suede, orange. That one is one of my favorite fragrances that's come out in the past couple years. Code Absolute is a fragrance I love. So yeah. Dior Homme 2020 has cashmere, it's got cedar, bergamot, and a bunch of ISOE Super. And that one is a complete reformulation, redo, whatever you want to call it, of Dior Homme. And Dior Homme 2020 smells absolutely nothing like Dior Homme. So yeah, it's just really heavy on ISOE Super, heavy on cashmere. It's fuzzy. It's like a fuzzy, warm woody, like a modern woodsy fragrance. There's a bit of sweetness in there, and it is very versatile. super easy to wear, daytime, nighttime, casual, formal, whatever. You can do pretty much anything with the fragrance. It's almost like Dior taking ISOE Super and you know, doing Dior Homme that way, the same way that Dior Sauvage did Ambroxan, if that makes sense. So if you really like Ambroxan, you've got Dior Sauvage. If you really like ISOE Super / Cashmere, you've got Dior Homme 2020, because it is, again, very heavy on the ISOE and the Cashmere. Code Absolute is similar to Code Profumo a bit. When you spray them on side by side, you can pick up similarities between the two, but in my opinion, it's just better. It's much more well done than Code Profumo is. It's a little bit more refined. It's not quite as aggressive, not quite as in your face, a little bit rounded, a nice bit of sweetness in there, a little bits of spice as well. Really, really nice fragrance. And for me, Code Absolute all day, every day over Dior Homme 2020. Like I said, it's an easy choice. So another point for 2019, 2-2 going into the #1 most popular fragrance from 2019 and the #1 most popular fragrance so far of 2020. And this one's really hard for me. So for 2019, it is Mont Blanc Explorer. Yes, the designer Aventus-ish fragrance. And for 2020, it's Tom Ford Beau de Jour, which technically already existed in the private blend line, but was released in the signature line this year. So we have designer-ish Aventus-style fragrance versus a private blend fragrance released in a different line. Got it. So we've got Bergamot, Ambroxan, Akigala Wood, and Vetiver in Mont Blanc Explorer, which is a fragrance that did grow on me. When I first sprayed it on and smelled it the very first time, I was kind of not really digging it a huge amount. I just thought to myself, yeah, it is what people are saying. It's a fresher designer take on Aventus. That being said, it grows on you. It's really versatile, it's very pleasant, not offensive at all, and not a huge surprise that it's the most popular release from last year. It gives you that taste of Aventus at a much lower price tag, and yet it doesn't have a lot of those drawbacks that a lot of clones have, where they have a cheap smell to them sometimes. They have sometimes a harsh opening. At other times it kind of falls apart as the fragrance dries down, depending on which clone we're talking about. Explorer does smell of good quality the whole way through. Now, some people are not going to really dig the fragrance because it is a little bit of a play on Creed's Aventus, but it smells good, at least in my opinion. It's easy to wear. It does what the fragrance sets out to do, and I'm not going to bag on it for that. That being said, obviously, it's not hyper unique. Then we have Beau de Jour, which again was a private blend, now is in the signature line, and it's difficult because it's not really a new fragrance, is it? That being said, Explorer takes inspiration from another fragrance, so you could argue that that one is not really a new fragrance. Now, Beau de Jour has lavender, rosemary, patchouli, and amber, among other notes, and it is a take on your classic aromatic fougere kind of fragrance. So it's going to smell very gentlemanly, sophisticated, refined, a great office fragrance, a great formal fragrance, great business type of fragrance, and you could wear it daytime or nighttime. It's very versatile. You could wear it to a date as well. It's a great fragrance. There's a reason people love Beau de Jour, because it's just really freaking good. So this one was it definitely was the most difficult of the 5. And that's because Explorer does what it does really well, and Beau de Jour does what it does really well. Do I count off Beau de Jour because it's, originally a private blend that they've moved over to the signature line? Do I count off on Explorer because it's obviously inspired a bit by Aventus? Ultimately, the one I went with is the fragrance that I would pick if I did not own either, and you came up to me and you had Explorer in one hand and Beau de Jour in the other, and you said, pick one. You can have whichever you want, but not the other. And I would take Beau de Jour. So that means 2020 wins. 3 to 2. This was surprisingly more difficult than I expected. Before I looked up what the top 5 most popular fragrances were, I was expecting 2019 would probably win 4 to 1, something like that, and yet much closer than I thought. So there we go. As of right now, 2020 wins, at least as far as the top 5 most popular fragrances, according to Fragrantica, put head to head against 2019. It's really specific. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me. Let me know below if you would have had 2019 winning or 2020 winning. As always, thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for all your support. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.